As we all know, companies grow, they change. Sometimes the skill set of a person is not significant or sufficient to keep them at the company, and they have to be fired. What are some of the tips that you would give to employers to keep in mind when they're thinking about having to separate employees?
Sure. So, first of all, make sure you document behavior that could lead to an employment termination, because that way you protect yourself if you do get sued or potentially from a lawsuit. I also highly recommend severance agreements. In most instances, it doesn't have to be a huge amount, just, as long as the employee agrees to it, right? And it depends on the level of employee we're talking about and how long they've been with your company. But I do recommend, because in a severance agreement, you're basically paying the employee money not to sue you. Now, some people think, well, wait a minute, is that legal? Is that bribery? Like, no, it isn't. It's actually legal. It's called consideration for signing an agreement saying that I won't sue you, for anything that may have happened while I was employed. Now, if something happens after the fact, well, that wouldn't cover it. So that's what I highly recommend. I do want to mention that just a couple of, I've got like five reasons that you could legitimately fire somebody for. Obviously, something really egregious that would harm your business that they've done, whether it's fraud, theft, embezzlement, forgery, some type of criminal activity, again, that could affect or negatively impact your business or its reputation. Any type of really egregious discrimination, harassment, or retaliation against other employees, and of course, any type of violence that occurs in the workplace or against other employees. Poor performance, certainly, but I do recommend, and again, you must document this type of behavior if you're not going to fire them right away. Poor performance definitely has to be documented, and usually, it's not like somebody makes one mistake and you fire them, right? Usually you really want to give people a chance to correct their mistakes, to improve their performance, and put them on, but document it, put them on what we call a performance improvement plan, but have very clear objectives and very clear things that they need to accomplish within a certain period of time. And if they don't, well, then at least you've got that, that record of we tried, but they still didn't comply. And so then we had to let them go. Insubordination is another, another good reason to fire somebody, right? Not following your company's policies. Well, the first thing is you need to have policies, and let me say written policies in the first place before you can accuse an employee of not following them, and then make sure that you train your employees on those policies, that they're aware of them, that they sign off, that they received, the policy or the actual, employee handbook. And finally, look, this happens to a lot of businesses. Maybe you overhired, maybe business was really great, and now there's a downturn. Business is slow, and you need to lay off some people for financial reasons. That's okay, as long as as long as you don't do it. If you're laying off multiple people, you don't lay off a disproportionate number of people in protected categories: Black, Hispanic, disabled, women, older, younger, that kind of thing. You want to make it sort of, equivalent across the board in terms of those characteristics. And also, especially in the case where it sounds almost counterintuitive, but especially in the case where it's no fault of their own. It's the business is experiencing, some financial difficulties. Pay them some severance. You're still gonna save money on their salary in the long run, but give them some time to find another job and still get, have some. Those are my recommendations.